Let's look at the squat. One of my favourite exercises, the squat. Fantastic for strength, power, speed, fat loss, just about any exercise, any reason you've got for training, you should be squatting. Now we're going to start with the bar position. This is quite what I would call a medium to high bar position, and this is where I would like you to start. What we're doing is we're retracting the shoulder blades so that we create a nice shelf with the upper trapezius muscles here for the bar to sit on. We don't want the bar too high up here, where I see quite a lot of people having it. It then sits on this, what's called the CT junction, where the cervical neck meets the thoracic spine. Okay, so we're going to have it low, there. Bring the shoulder blades back and let's keep the elbows high. Now the reason for that is that then it's got a little bit of extra stability through here as the bar sits on the back of the shoulders there. You can have a very low bar position. I'll show you the low bar position, which is about there. Okay, the difference of that is you already see it's harder to control through the spine, even just with this bar. What it makes you do is it makes you lean further forward in the actual squat. So, best place for the bar to start, and where I recommend everybody to start with, is the mid position, shoulder blades pulled back, creating a really good shelf for the bar to sit on across here. Okay? If the elbows would tuck forward, you've got that risk of it falling off. But with the elbows back, you've got that nice safety there. So we're next going to look at how to position the feet and knees. Now I've seen a lot of talk about how wide you should have the feet. I prefer just slightly wider than hip distance, like Ben's got here. You do see people go even wider, and I just see that as a slightly different exercise. It's a slightly different emphasis on different muscles. We're just going to look at the squat from my perspective, which is the medium to narrow type squat, with the feet about just slightly wider than hip distance, or roughly about shoulder distance. Now, when it comes to the feet, you can have the feet either turned out, as Ben has them slightly turned out here, or you can have them completely parallel. Again, it comes down to personal preference. There is slightly different reason for doing it one way rather than the other. It's not important right now. All I'm going to say is choose one of the two, and you'll probably choose your most comfortable. Ben here is most comfortable with the slightly turned out position. Now, the really important thing though is that regardless of which way you have your feet, is the alignment between the knee and toe. So, I want the centre of Ben's kneecap here to come roughly in line with his second to third toe. Now, I don't mean in terms of coming forward, I just mean in terms of straight. So, if Ben goes down, what you'll see is his kneecap is right in the centre there. We're not letting it bowl. We'll go in or out. Okay? That alignment is really key, and you need to keep an eye on that in your mirror for feedback. Because what happens if not is you overuse the adductors or you overuse the glutes. You haven't got that control, that balance in the muscles that you must have for squatting. So, just show you one more time as he goes down, maintaining that good alignment through the knee and the foot and coming up. So that's the alignment for the feet. So we've got the bar in the right position, we've got the bar in the right position, and we've got the feet in the right position. Okay, they're slightly wider than shoulder width, slightly wider than hip width apart. Okay, and you've either got them slightly turned out or forward facing. Now, the first thing we're going to learn when squatting is to maintain a really good spinal position. We've been talking a lot about spinal position, and here we see we've got this natural curve. Again, we don't want to be overly arched at the top, and likewise, we don't want to be rounded out. That's not going to be comfortable. It's going to load your spine in an unhelpful way, and actually, your muscles aren't going to work as hard and you're not going to use up as much energy. So the first thing you're going to do when you learn to squat is you're going to do what we call the hip hitch. Okay? I'm going to want Ben to imagine that his feet are in a plaster cast, like if he broke his foot, so that his knee can't come forward. In a moment, I'm going to show you how you will move on to allowing the knee to move forward, but initially, I want you to think you're in the plaster cast. So, As you sit back, you're going to stick the bum out. The spine, stop there for me, has to lean forward, but we're maintaining this curve. You're going to keep going, keeping your weight in the heels, okay? And that's about as far as Ben can go. Now as he comes up, I want him to push his hips forward. Good, slowly down. And hips forward. Good, slowly down. And hips forward. Good. One more with the hips a little bit earlier for me, Ben. Coming down. Hips go forward nice and early. Excellent. Okay, with that nice posture there. What we don't want to do is go too deep. There's again a lot of controversy about how deep you should go. Should you go to parallel? Should you go below parallel? Well, for me, it has nothing to do with whether you should go to parallel, whether you should go below parallel. It has to do with your mechanics, the length of your femur, how your spine reacts. I'm going to let Ben go a little bit too low and we're going to see what happens. So as we go into the deep squat, you'll see that Ben loses it at this level here as it rounds. Now come up, and we'll do one more for me. So this is the level where you'll notice his tail, his bum starts to curl underneath and come up. I'm not going to ask him to stay there. Now the problem with that is that it doesn't stress the back or the spine or the muscles in the right way. You risk getting quite injured if you were to put a big heavy weight on your back and be doing maximal squats like that. It's because the passive structures, the ligaments, the discs, the vertebrae themselves are getting loaded there, and we want the active structures, the muscles, to actually work to hold you. So, really key point there. Okay, let's see a few other mistakes. One of the classic ones is what I call a quad dominant type squat, where someone is really good at using their quads but doesn't like using their bum and then uses their lower back. So what Ben's going to do is he's going to squat down. As he comes up, he's going to straighten his legs and then he's going to twist up. Okay, one more. You see that quite a lot. You know, people straighten their legs and come up there. Okay, so we talked about keeping the legs in plaster cast. We're now going to let the knee move forward slightly. You would have heard people say, don't let your knee come in front of your toe. Again, your knee can come above your toe, but don't let it come forward than your toe. And to get a proper as deep a squat as you can get, you need to let that knee translate forward. And it should go forward pretty much as far as your hips go back, within reason. So, as we go forward, the knees are going to slide forward slightly, the weight's back in the heels, and we're going to come up, squeeze the hips forward. Good. And again, shoulders back, nice, good posture in the back. Tiny bit too deep, that one, Ben. One more, just not quite as deep. Control. Again, knees aren't in front of toes, they're just above and up. Good. You do one more and really sit back into the heels. Okay, there we are. Knees above toes but not in front of them. Tight abs, tight shoulders, tight glutes. You're not going to lock the knees out at the top. Give the squat a go, get the most out of it.